Hey everyone, how's it going? It is either way Randy Chavez coming at you today with a Veve and OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. I love y'all. Everyone say hello to Dashie. Hello, Dashie. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below. Okay, let's start with OMI. So OMI's not done really much today, despite a bunch of news. We'll get to the news in a little bit. OMI on the day has a 665,000 in volume, which again is not a lot, trading just like a penny stock. We were down about 1.1% to 00060. We were down on the 00059, so it did dip below the 0006s, but it was immediately bought up. There was probably just a bunch of buy orders down there giving it a bit of pressure. I mean, that makes sense. If it goes in the fives, I'd like to buy a little bit more myself. And I know there's been quite a bit of strife lately. I mean, like the past couple years, like, hey, why isn't OMI performing like we want it to? And well, part of the reason is we're not on exchanges yet. I imagine we'll get one starting in Q2, again, at or around the halving. Could be a little bit before, could be a little bit after. I'd give them a couple months leeway. I really don't expect too much to happen in Q1, unless just, again, the narrative changes, which I'm not expecting it to change right away. I'm expecting that narrative to take a little while. We have a couple things that need to happen in the market beforehand, which again, we'll go over in a little bit. But the other thing is really just the utility, which even though we have the staking for MCP tickets and staking for bronze tickets, which is great, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are just kind of crowding around saying, well, that's not real utility because we can't use those things yet, despite David coming out and saying, well, we're going to have some MCP specific drops just around the corner. Now, again, for David, that could mean he always deals in things with like 3 to 5 years away. Are those 3 to 5 years away? No. Are they happening next week? Probably not. But I would say they're likely to happen within the next couple months. Happen this quarter or next quarter? Definitely in Q2, but I don't know if that's going to mean this quarter or even this month. We'll get them when we get them. But in other news, despite having an amazing news with ETS being approved, Bitcoin is up only less than 1%. Ethereum up over 10%. The rest of the market is up. BNB up 2.2, Solana up 2.1, XRP up 6, Lido Staked up 10, Cardano up 11, Avalanche up 12. Some of the biggest winners actually were not in the top 10, like Ethereum Classic or ETC is up about 35%, ARB or Arbitrum is up 23%, Mantle is up 20%. So there's just a lot that aren't in the top 10 that are just above what they are. Because again, the top 10, they already have pretty big market caps. And I'm not saying they won't run. I'm not saying they won't double and triple again from here. Most likely they will, unless you have something catastrophic happen where, I don't know, Solana gets hacked again or, again, just things happen. But remember when I had said that certain things need to happen, before a lot of money is injected into the markets? Well, last month we had Bill Ackerman, I said it on December 6th, where he had said, the Fed will cut rates sooner than possible and sooner than people think. So what does that mean? Well, we were expecting rates to we were supposed to have another rate hike, but now, because I think when they do cut rates, usually a lot of money it takes about 6 months for that to kind of take effect. So if they do it in Q1, January through March, whatever, they do it by January, the markets start to rally a little bit by July, or maybe even before then, because people are expecting it to run. Well, what do you have? I mean, this is Biden going and saying, hey, he's going to bet on the markets, and he's going to go and say, this is why you should reelect me, is why you shouldn't reelect Trump, and politics, whatever, this is going to be good for the markets. Because if you just take 1/4 of 1%, so 0.25% of a rate cut in Q1, $1 trillion of the 5.7 trillion in money market accounts will rip into the market. So again, that's going to be over the next several months after we see those rate drops. And I get it, the bear market has been pretty bad for a lot of people, but just the narrative is starting to change in a big way. Again, the 12% of American families are now millionaires. If you take the household, perhaps most noteworthy, I think there'll be a lot of true millionaires. About 16 million families, just over 12%, have wealth exceeding $1 million, which is up 9.8 million families in 2019. So there's nearly 8 million families are multimillionaires where their wealth exceeds 2 million. And this is from Chamath Palihapitiya. Adding to that, the Wall Street Journal had said who are the mini millionaires, and they generally earn between 150 and 250,000 a year, And rather than being left behind as all the gains in the economy accrue to billionaires, they have in fact seen the biggest wealth gains over the last 3 years than the top 10% of families. Again, this is from the Wall Street Journal saying who are the biggest gains in wealth. Indeed, the biggest gains in wealth between 2019, 2022 were among approximately 13 million families in the 80th to 90th percentile of the income distribution. So you have all of this money and they're going into, what is it going to be? Well, the new shiny thing is the Bitcoin ETFs. And where is that money going to trickle? It'll trickle into ETH and Cardano, Solana, Polygon, etc. And then it'll trickle into altcoins, like the true altcoins, the ones that are supremely, exceedingly, hilariously undervalued, which what I think is OMI. But again, that's just my opinion. And as Crypto Rain says, when the narrative changes and digital collecting becomes cool again, that's when a lot of money pours into Veve and the OMI token. And that's just the digital collectibles narrative. What about the metaverse? Okay, so I've been tagged in this multiple times about the Readyverse. What is the Readyverse? I'll tell you, but first I need to go and put out some stats here. The Readyverse over on X has 3,167 followers, so not a ton, but they do in their description say that they are the producer of Futureverse, the producer of Ready Player One. Futureverse has 43,000 followers over on X, so they do have a little bit more of a following than the Readyverse. They say they're a leader in revolutionary AI and metaverse technologies that enable open, scalable, interoperable apps, games, and experiences, and they're building on the Root network, which has about 48,000 followers. So if they all fusion they have slightly less than 100,000 followers. The Root network is a public decentralized blockchain network optimized for metaverse apps, games, and experiences. They are Root. I looked at their token. It doesn't really look like anything special right now. It has 3x'd from its low of a few months ago. But what is this Readyverse? What are they talking about here, Chavez? What have you been tagged in that I have not been tagged in? Well, there's an article that came out on the 4th from the LA Times as Ready Player One in real life, how Ernest Cline is making his metaverse dream a virtual reality. Is this the Veve killer? Is this the one that's really going to bring Ready Player One to the metaverse? We'll see. In the dystopian sci-fi novel and film Ready Player One, future humans spend much of their lives in an oasis, a virtual reality wonderland in which the limits of reality are your own imagination. Now, a virtual world inspired by Oasis is being brought to life. Ready Player One author Ernest Cline and one of the film's producers, Dan Farah, are working with an artificial intelligence technology company to launch a metaverse, or an interactive 3D virtual world, similar to the one depicted in the novel in Steven Spielberg's 2018 directed film adaptation released by Warner Bros. The company is behind the new venture called the Futureverse, which is run out of New Zealand and Los Angeles. The partners are working with media giant Warner Bros. Discovery to start bringing the Ready Player One franchise to the metaverse early this year. The new online world, dubbed the Readyverse, will be filled with digital experiences like games and places to hang out with friends virtually through VR headsets and other devices. But them saying they just started, if I'm an investor and I'm looking at this, well, how many years is it going to take you? You're in New Zealand, they have some pretty strict laws about certain things, and I know we've seen that with Akomi. And Warner Bros. Is great, they have access to a bunch of IP, but they are still just one company. But moving on, the article saying the draw of the Readyverse, Cline said, is that it creates an environment for people to spend time with the characters and worlds they could previously only reconnect with by watching a movie multiple times. Well, you have that with ChatGPT. Anyone that has a smartphone can go on and say, pick your, Ninja Turtles. Hey, pretend you're Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, or pretend you're Donatello from the Ninja Turtles, and answer the questions as if you're that character. And you could ask them questions, and they will go through its entire history. ChatGPT will go into the richest data repository it can find, and it will bring up everything from comics to movies to video games, and it will use that to pretend to be that character. I've done this multiple times with a lot of characters from Marvel, Vision, Captain America, Optimus Prime, from Hasbro, from Transformers. So you don't really need a metaverse for that, but obviously it's going to be much cooler if you're actually talking to, who else does Warner Bros. Have? Let's say Scooby-Doo. It'd be really cool to talk to Daphne Blake or Velma Dinkley or Goobert, Scooby-Doo. I feel like that's kind of what they're going for here, because again, anyone can go to ChatGPT and just do what I just said, but it will be much cooler in the metaverse. I do agree with that. But when was it last year that David Yu had said he would incorporate ChatGPT in the Veeverse? It was with his Binance interview, and it was asked, a beautiful question was asked. I don't know who asked that question. It was me. But David had already said they've been working on this. So they've been working on this for at least a year, but probably longer than that. But the article goes on and says, now you can actually be in the world of those characters with those characters and share that experience with your friends and go on adventures with those characters. The possibilities are endless. I feel like a lot of people are going to be doing this. Again, we have the best IP and we are farther along than these guys are right now. But technology like virtual reality and concepts such as the metaverse have attracted interest from venture capital investors, tech futurists, and corporations such as Facebook, parent Meta, Walt Disney Company, and Apple, but many mainstream consumers remain skeptical and at times confused. Agreed. Having content from Hollywood studios has long been seen as a way to take the virtual reality business mainstream. Again, agreed. For entertainment companies like Warner Bros., virtual reality provides a chance to get some more mileage out of their established intellectual property and reach new tech-savvy audiences. The Ready Player One movie is a solid box office hit with $583 million in worldwide ticket sales, did much to introduce general audiences to the metaverse idea, as did the films like The Matrix and books such as William Gibson's Neuromancer before it. And to bring Ready Player One to virtual life, Futureverse, Klein and Farah have launched Readyverse Studios, a Los Angeles-based firm with about 30 employees. I mean, Veve has more employees than that. And the Veveverse, which is being built by Cavernous, they might have around the same number of employees, maybe a little less. I think Cavernous is a smaller company. But the goal, said Futureverse co-founder Aaron McDonald, is to eventually, keyword eventually, incorporate characters and worlds from all over the internet into the Readyverse, similar to how the Ready Player One film brought in IP such as Batman, Freddy Krueger, and Marvin the Martian. Again, agreed, they have a great list of IPs in there. But some of those IPs are already on Veve, especially when we have Universal. Some of those IPs are on Veve. And I'm not trying to go and take a dump on this company. I think this company has the right idea. I think they have ambitious goals and they're dreaming, and that's what you should do. But to call it a Veveverse killer or a Veve killer, that's silly. And I want this company to do well, because as the hobby grows, obviously it doesn't need any one company to do this, but every company does help. As the hobby grows, that's only going to be good for Veve. That's only going to be good for the Veveverse. The article goes on and says, we are definitely going to give people the opportunity to explore the environments and the characters and the objects and stuff like that comes from the books and from the ideas of the movie. That includes virtual spaces and avatars and all those kinds of things that people can kind of own and participate in. I mean, kind of like the scepter from Marvel, which we have on Veve, or the Tesseract from Marvel, which we have on Veve. But the move to bring Ready Player One IP into the metaverse marks the latest attempt to bridge the divide between traditional entertainment and virtual reality. Disney launched a metaverse division to bridge experiences from its parks with its streaming service, Disney Plus, and other aspects of the company, but that unit was shuttered last year after then Chief Executive Bob Chapek was fired and Bob Iger moved to restructure the company. Now let us examine that quote for a minute. We had it, and then it was shuttered, but who made that team? Who was the original person that brought on that team? Well, that was Bob Chapek. And then what happened? Bob Iger came in, and kind of side story here, Elon Musk had gone on and said, hey, we're going to go on and we're going to fire people that are not necessary to the company, like he did with Twitter. And as soon as that happened, all of these other CEOs, like Bob Iger, had used Elon as a scapegoat, saying, oh, he did it first, he's going to get the brunt of the hate for it. And he did that to clean house. And what did he do to clean house? He fired a lot of Bob Chapek's people. Who were Bob Chapek's people? The Metaverse team. Now, it hasn't been said that he's hired anyone else. I would imagine that he would go to somewhere like the company that goes and makes all of their big Disney games, Kingdom Hearts. Square Enix. I don't know why Disney doesn't just buy Square Enix, but again, they're exceedingly good at making those types of video games. But this is a metaverse, and the only other company that I could think of that's really uh, going on and making these types of metaverses is Cavernous. Um, and Cavernous does do funding rounds every now and then, so maybe Disney could essentially buy a piece of Cavernous. I mean, they have most of their IP on the Veve app, and if Cavernous is building the Veveverse, then it would make sense for Disney to go and buy some of Cavernous, because again, they are going and making that stuff. Which again, um, Veve is a lot bigger than Cavernous, and I don't think, if you can't buy Veve, which David and Dan said they don't want to do right now, they're not gonna sell, at least not the whole company. They might sell a piece to maybe like Apple or Tesla or whoever at some point, just to raise some capital. But if Disney can't buy Veve, then what are they going to do? Well, they're going to probably buy the next best thing, and if they can get a piece of Cavernous, that would make a whole lot of sense. If they're building the metaverses for X, Y, and Z, why not just buy the one that's making the metaverse and then have them make it for you? But again, that's just speculation on my part. The article continues saying technology companies like Futureverse are looking to partner with studios in their efforts to explore the metaverse and prove it's not just a buzzword. So again, these are in the very, very beginning stages. This company is a couple years behind now. That being said, the company launched a $50 million fund and venture studio called Born Ready, raising $54 million for the Futureverse. Futureverse has worked with major brands including Reebok, while delving into AI games with FIFA on iOS and Android, as well as Authentic Brands Group, the IP rights holders of Muhammad Ali Enterprise, to release the first Ali-powered boxing game, Muhammad Ali: The Next Legends. Now, $54 million is great, but they're starting pretty much from scratch, and they have to deliver, and they don't have a lot of money coming in. So that money is going to spend really, really quickly. And again, $54 million is a lot. That's probably, I would say, double more than what Veve has in their war chest. But that being said, Veve can go on and raise $50 or $100 million like that, like it's nothing, while they're also bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars per week, millions of dollars per month. The article goes on to say that a digital world allows for experiences created through microtransactions where users can purchase something like new skins or in-game looks for a few dollars. Aren't the Marvel Mighties a couple dollars? There's a lot of things over on Veve that's just worth a couple dollars. And what did Veve say that the Veveverse would have in phase one, which we're going to have steps towards this quarter, and most likely roll out entire phase one in Q2? Well, what does phase one consist of? Phase one consists of just rolling out the Veveverse and having OMI 2 accessory, where you could go on and you could have these microtransactions. You want a Veve couch, you can do that. Veve casting couch. You want Veve toilet paper, you want Veve, probably get Recur toilet paper, but whatever you want, you're most likely going to be able to get, and OMI is going to be a way that you can pay for it. Klein is excited to see those types of transactions in the Readyverse because they provide a sense of wish fulfillment, a theme he explores in the book. Like many of the ideas of Ready Player One, they're becoming reality faster than he anticipated, saying the ability to buy anything that you can imagine, things that are out of your reach in the real world, and things that don't exist in the real world, like helicopters or super yachts or a Lamborghini. Who has that license for Lamborghini again? Oh yeah, it's Veve. You could have any of that, Klein said, and then actually use those things as vehicles, like what we're doing in the Veveverse. Or he said you could keep those trophies around for the bragging rights. This is basically an ad for Veve. They're advertising the metaverse and what they're planning to do. Veve is well on their way of establishing. Give me $10 million and tell me to invest in any company. I don't know if any of my funds would go into this Readyverse. And again, I'm going to let them cook, and I hope that they're successful. And I hope that they get their stuff off the ground, because if they do, it's only going to be good for the hobby, which is only going to be good for Veve. Now, obviously, it's going to be good to other people, but it's going to be good for Veve as well. It's a big boon for them. But again, this is all my opinion. Comment down below your thoughts. Comments, likes, and subscribes are good for the algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashie. Bye-bye, Dashie. I love you guys. Goodbye. Meow, 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 meow.